Well, howdy, physics sleuths and inquisitive souls, and welcome again to another lecture of Sermon of Sean. So, today we're going to go over the soul farm theory. We are definitely in a soul farm. No matter what religion you believe in, we are definitely in a soul farm. Okay? They all believe ultimately the same thing. It just there's two different variants of the soul farm. Okay? And one is kind of scary and one is not. Okay? But we're going to look into them both. All right? This one is going to be a doozy, so buckle up. All right, so begins with Kali Yuga. Okay. um, Now, the scary variant of the soul farm is the Hindu version. Okay, this is the cyclic soul farm. Okay, this is God, gods, whatever. They create the earth and then populate it with humans and give them everything they need to thrive and survive. Okay? And these are the yuga cycles, is how it goes down, how it begins and how it ends. Okay? Yuga means age, so you have different ages. Okay, so you got Krita, which is the golden age, which is the age of like human perfection, I guess you could say, and that's when God started the soul farm, according to the Hindus. Then you have Trita, which is like the silver age. This is a declining in spiritual morality slightly, but nothing too major. Okay, but there is a difference. And then you have the Vapara, which is the third age, I think the Bronze Age. And this one is a decline from the second one to where you have more technology. More, technology becomes more important and spirituality falls to the wayside. Okay? And now we have the final age, Kali Yuga. This is the final age, which is represented by civil unrest, hatred, crime, inequality, just bad juju running around. And that's the one that we are in right now. And this is the final one before the soul farm resets, according to Hinduism. Okay? So in Hinduism, they claim it's going to be like 4 million years, but it's actually not. It's actually going to be 12,000 divine years, which are actually about 12,000 of our years, is what it really comes out to be. The Hindus kind of got this wrong, which is why I'm thinking maybe their soul farm theory isn't the best. We're going to go into it. All right. So Kali Yuga is the final age of degeneration of the human race before God gets sick of it and hits the reset button. Okay. And the day in Kali Yuga that comes when the majority of humans alive are evil in their hearts, when like you get 51% of humans that are evil, that is when God says, "That's it, we're done here." And then you have Shiva, Shiva, who comes to destroy the earth with his dance of death and renew it for another soul farm cycle. And I believe Kalki will come with him as well. But Kalki is probably going to recreate the golden age because that's what he's meant to do, is to conquer all evil. So he's going to bring about the golden age. So now it makes you wonder, and this isn't really explained very well in a way that you can, grasp in Hinduism, because there's so much bickering and arguing between various factions in Hinduism, and they're all going with their preferred beliefs, which have kind of slightly evolved like a game of telephone over the last 10,000 years. Okay. So it's hard to say whether it's going to be Kalki comes first and then, or if Shiva comes first and destroys, the planet, and then Kalki comes and starts humanity off proper, or what. It's not really done. All we know is that Shiva does his dance of death to destroy the earth and renew it for another soul cycle that repeats this cycle all over again. And they just keep harvesting the good souls that they want, and then the bad ones they let rot. Okay, so that's the Hindu soul farm theory. Is that Earth is constantly being remade and redone by God, to give humanity this Krita stage, this golden era, this golden age of perfection. Okay, but because we're not perfect, we slowly degrade away into the Silver Age, and then the Bronze Age, and then the Kali Age. Um, and then it all goes so bad that the gods have to intervene and destroy us all, and then reset and restart the soul farm, the cycle. That way they can get more souls. And then according to Hinduism, what the gods do, every god in Hinduism kind of has their own planet that they go to. And when you die, they'll come and take your soul in their spaceships and their Biaman, and go back to their planets, and then you live in their planet by their set of rules, depending on which god you worship or follow, in Hinduism. And so this would tell you then, and they say that in Hinduism the souls are permanent, and they cannot be damaged or destroyed ever in any way. So once a god, like say Ganesh, has collected souls, and pit for his planet, what have you, they stay there forever. But it's a finite place in that planet, so none of this adds up, because you have this soul farm that keeps restarting and recycling itself over and over, pumping out souls for the gods to have to populate their planets. But the planets can only hold so much, and the soul cycle just keeps going and going forever, according to Hinduism. Seems kind of odd. It just doesn't add up. But you got to remember, Hinduism was one of the oldest religions we have, and it was been around for a long time, and it was created for proto-humans as compared to what we are now. Okay, the humans 10,000 years ago are nothing like the way we are now. Okay, think of a dude that's a hunter-gatherer that kills everything he eats. That alone can make a pretty huge difference as to how we behave versus them. Okay. So that's how the soul farm pretty much works according to Hinduism. Okay, it's the earth is constantly being propped up to perfection. Humans mess it up over millions of years because that's what we do, and then God has to destroy everything and then restart it, and all the time he's collecting the souls he wants to keep for their planets. All right. Now, if we go to, say, Christianity, all right, Abrahamic religions, all right, they talk about the end days, all right. And I saw when the 1,000 years expired, Satan shall be loosened out of his prison. Okay, it's from Revelation, so they're basically talking about in the final days. Okay, in the final days, Jesus comes back on his white spaceship, New Jerusalem, his white horse. That is the base for heaven. This is what the Bible says. This is not my idea. This is what the Bible says. Okay. And he's going to come back and conquer all evil, like all the religions say that their Messiah or their spiritual leaders are going to do. Okay. And then with him and the second witness, they're going to basically conquer all the evil people, and they're going to pit forth 1,000-year age of perfection for humanity. Okay. we could call this the Krita age. Okay, for 1,000 years, God says humans are going to be good. Everything's going to be good. Pretty much. All right. So you got the 1,000 years, and when they're expired, something's going to happen. Satan's going to be loosened out of his prison, meaning people are going to start slacking off on their, how they're running their societies and their laws and rules, thinking that we're good now, we don't need to be so strict, whatever, blah blah blah. And that's going to allow for people to come around, take advantage, and to deceive and to lie, okay, and to the nations, which are the four quarters of the earth. So all of the earth, okay, is going to be lied to. And Gog and Magog is going to gather them together for battle, okay. Now we believe Gog and Magog is Russia, seems to be Gog, and I believe Magog is the leader of Russia. So whoever's the leader of Russia at the time, like right now it's Putin. If you're talking about Gog and Magog, it's the Russia and Putin. But in the future, it's probably still going to be Russia, but it's going to be a different leader. So Magog just means the leader of Gog. Okay. How about you have these backwards, but I think that's the way it is. All right. And to gather them to battle, and the number of whom is as the sand in the sea. Okay, so this is a lot of people. Remember, this is the four corners of the earth. Okay, this is the entire planet is going to be deceived. Okay, and then Gog and Magog, Russia, is going to gather them up, and they are going to number like the sand and the sea. It's going to be a lot of people, like millions of people. Okay, millions. All right. They're going to be deceived and pissed off towards God and heaven for some reason. We don't know what that deceit is right now. God didn't say, because if he probably gave too much information, then it wouldn't happen. So he rides the timeline, which is what God does. He serves timelines, and he finds the one he wants us to be on. And then he does what he needs to do to keep us on that timeline. He's like King, the Conqueror, in the Marvel Universe, our God. Okay? If you had to give him a set of powers, that would be the powers to give him. King the Conqueror. He surfs the timelines, and he basically, there's only one timeline, but he can see all the multiple different possible timelines. And then he chooses the one he wants. Kind of, I guess, more like Doctor Strange and the Time Stone, really, if you want to be correct. Because King actually goes different. There's only one timeline, but with like Doctor Strange and the Time Stone, he can see all the possible timelines that branch out from this point, and that's like what God can do. Okay, and so that is what we're on, is a timeline. But this timeline, for whatever reason, involves a final rebellion. Is what this is called, the final rebellion in Christianity. Okay, and it says they went up to the breadth of the earth. The breadth is the width. So they went into space with spaceships. This is 1,000 years from now, because we are about to have we are in the final year of the Great Tribulation. We're about to get nuked by Putin's nukes. Gog and Magog's about to nuke us. And that's going to start the 1,000-year timer when Jesus comes, and then the mothership, New Jerusalem, which will be in 2027. Okay? Early half of 2027 is when Jesus is going to get here in his mothership. And that's going to serve the place for our heaven. As Jesus says, when he had to go away to prepare a place for our heaven. That's the mothership, New Jerusalem. It's been gifted to him by God for our species. He's the ambassador to our God, Jesus is, for all of humanity. That's the way it is. And okay, so the breadth of the earth, and then compass the camp of the saints about. Okay, so then they're going to try and like surround the camp of the saints, which will be like New Jerusalem, Jesus' mothership. Okay, and for whatever reason, these guys think that because it's 1,000 years in the future and they have spaceships, that they can fight God and win, even though God has like a 1,000,000-year head start on us on technology and just everything. Okay, just knowledge, all around knowledge, 1,000,000 years beyond us. So they're 1,000 years beyond us. God's 1,000,000 years beyond us. Math ain't math and right. But they, for whatever reason, they've been lied to, and they believe that they have a chance to defeat God, and that they need to do this because it's in their best interest for whatever reason. We don't know what the lie is. Okay? And the beloved city, that's New Jerusalem, Jesus' spaceship, Jesus' city of jewels that flies through space, mothership, spaceship. And then the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. So then fire came down from space somewhere, probably from the mothership. Could have been from another source too. Who knows? God can be sneaky. Okay, and it destroyed them all. It killed all of them. Everybody, millions of people in spaceships, all died by fire and space because they tried to attack God. Okay? So they tried rebellion against God for whatever reason, and it did not work. And they all died miserably for it. Okay? And the devil that received them was cast into the lake of brimstone, where the beast and false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever. So there is someone that deceived them that is to blame in the eyes of God. And that person was not on the spaceships for whatever reason. Or maybe they were saved from there just to be tormented for what they had done, their bad deeds, because they caused millions of people to be deceived and to die for a lie, and probably not allowing them to ever go to heaven, or their betrayal like that. That's a pretty huge betrayal, to try and kill God. To try and kill God, your creator, the guy that gave us all of this civilization. They taught us agriculture, taught us plumbing, taught us astronomy, you name it, architecture, you name it, man. It all came from God ultimately, okay? That's where all the knowledge came. Humans did it with their hands, but God taught them how to do it from his mind, okay? From God's mind to our hands. That's how a lot of this works, all right? When you go against it, bad things happen, okay? All right, so this is the Christian version of the soul farm, which you could argue is all the Abrahamic versions, okay? Is that God created the earth just like the Hindus say, and God created humanity and propped them up to this golden age. But the difference is the Hindus' soul cycle starts reverse and plays out reverse, where the Christians goes like Christians start from humans start off as apes, and then to stone, the stone age, and then the iron age, and the bronze age, and blah blah blah, it just keeps going. And this is a Christian soul farm. As we start off as nothing, God slowly builds us up, and then after all these rebellions are done, we are finally good with God. But there are some people that believe, and is a possibility, that this soul farm from Christianity, when God destroys all these people, that he actually also destroys the entire planet, all the people on the planet as well, to just start the soul cycle all over again, to where now we're going back into the Hindu soul cycle, all right, where it's cyclic. It just keeps going back and over, and when humans finally do the final rebellion stage, boom, we reset, and now humans go back to like Stone Age and Neanderthals, whatever, blah blah blah, and God slowly builds them up on this this ultimate plan to harvest as many good souls as he can for his army or legions in heaven. Now we don't know why God wants or needs so many people in heaven. Maybe it's just the more the merry. Maybe there is actual battles taking place throughout the cosmos, like at least on our galaxy, where we are fighting other entities that are not benevolent and not good, and those wars require constant bodies being thrown at the line to hold it, I don't think that's the deal, and we're going to go into why, okay? But just to let you know, that is some people that believe this, and they're not crazy for thinking this, okay? The Bible, it doesn't really say, I mean, it kind of alludes and says only the people that rebel are going to get killed, but there's other things to explain too, all right? And just so you know, we're definitely on a farm, because this is like where Jesus is talking, all right, about the soul farm, but he calls it God's vineyard. Okay, instead of calling it God's farm, he calls it God's vineyard, and the wine are the souls. Okay. Why are you wasting the whole day here doing nothing? He asked. No one hired us. They asked. Well, then you go and work in the vineyard, he told them. The vineyard is God's soul farm. So basically saying, go and be like an angel helping God with this soul farm or whatever. And when the evening came, the owners told the farm, call the workers and pay them their wages, starting with those who were hired last on the first. And the men who work at 5 o'clock pay the silver coin each. And the men who work the first hired come to be paid, and they would get paid more. But they too were given a silver coin. So basically, what Jesus is saying is that if you're working on God's vineyard, God's soul farm, farming these souls, okay, it doesn't matter if you just started yesterday and like you're an angel, helping facilitate this, or if you started 5,000 years ago, like Abraham or something, okay, the reward is going to be the same. You're going to get access to heaven. Everybody's going to get the same reward. And Jesus is saying, don't be jealous about this and think that you're more deserving of more of heaven or something because you've been working the vineyard longer than other people that haven't. Okay, that's the message that he's trying to teach in this parable, is that when we all, get called to work on God's soul farm, the pay is always the same no matter how long you contribute it. And that is access to heaven and its utilities and resources, which, are described as utopia, perfection for the human soul to be happy and content, right? So, just know, Jesus says God has a soul farm too. He just calls it the vineyard instead of a farm. He calls it a vineyard, and many times he references the body as a cup, just a vessel, a container, a cup that holds the actual soul, which is important, which is the wine, according to Jesus. All right. So that's all there. And the money started growing, blah, blah, blah. Dave's answer to them, have I cheated you? After all, you agreed to do a day's work for a silver coin, and now you take your pay and go home. I want to give this man the hired last I gave you. Don't I have the right to do as I wish with my own money? And are you jealous because I am generous? So Jesus is saying, yeah, don't be jealous. It all comes down to jealousy, is why you wouldn't be happy with this arrangement, working for God and everybody getting paid equally and then the same. It would be jealousy that would, make you feel as though you're being slighted, but you're really not. Okay, not according to God's and His values, and those are the values that we as humans want to strive to have because He's just better than us. He's a million years more better than us. It is what it is. Don't hate. All right. So we got two different soul farms. Okay, one soul farm that says it's an endless cycle that keeps repeating itself over and over again, with God facilitating it and destroying everyone. And then we got the the Christian or the Abrahamic soul farm, which is like a vineyard, where it's only one cycle that goes up, but there are a lot of rebellions and a lot of times that God has to do things. Okay, and one of the best sources to figure out about the end days, I've come to find out recently, is the Book of Enoch. It gives a lot of detail about the final days and after. Okay, and the Book of Enoch is very old. I think they found it like what in the Qumran and the Dead Sea Scrolls. But they were using it as like their Bible, like that was their Bible, was the Book of Enoch, and they claim it was written, by Enoch, who lived almost around the time of Noah. I mean, he wasn't far off from Noah, just like a few hundred years from Noah. That's how old Enoch is. And they believe that even though Enoch allegedly witnessed all this stuff, that the Book of Enoch wasn't actually written down until, the older sections of Enoch estimate date from about 2 to 300 BCE. Now, that is a far cry of like a good, 5,000 years ago? But it just goes to show you, the Book of Enoch is definitely one of the oldest sources of knowledge about God's plan and the end days. Okay, so that's why we've got to take a look at it. We've got to take a look at it and see what it says real quick, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so here is a verse, okay, with the Book of Enoch. All right, and Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Nathaniel, all the big names for angels, holy angels without number, came out of that house, and with them the head of days. Okay, the head of days in the Book of Enoch is the second witness. Okay, we have Jesus is the first witness. He is the first witness to God's plan, and he knows humanity and he knows God. He knows both sides of the fence, okay? And he has been privy to what God's plan is. He's the first witness, okay? The second witness comes about in the final days of the tribulation, which we're currently in. And the second witness is referred to as the overcomer of all, or the head of days, okay? And the two stones that encompass their souls, so to speak, are like, I think Jesus is the jasper stone, and the second witness is the rhinestone. So when the guy says, I saw on the throne two stones, he's talking about two different people are sharing the same throne. One is Jesus, who's like the jasper, and the other is the second witness, or the head of days, who's the rhinestone. Okay? So, and then the second witness, or the head of days, his head was white and clean as wool. So when this was going down, they're saying that the head of days was an old man. He was an old man with a flowy white wool-like hair. Okay, and his garments were beyond description. All right. And I fell on my face, and my flesh melted, and my spirit changed. And I cried out with a loud voice and with the power of spirit, and I blessed and honored and exalted. And these blessings which proceeded out of my mouth were pleasing before the head of days. So that's saying the second witness was listening to this guy, Enoch, basically, praise and go on and bless about what he was seeing. And the head of days was like, yeah, I like where your head's at, kind of one of those things. Okay. And then the head of days, second witness, came with Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Nathaniel, and with the thousands, with 10,000 times 1,000 angels without number. Okay. And that angel that came to me and greeted me with a loud voice said, Thou art the Son of Man who was born in justice. Okay, now the Son of Man is Jesus. Okay, so now they're talking about Jesus, the first witness. And thou art the Son of Man who was born to justice. And justice dwells over thee, and the justice of the head of days, the second witness. So they're saying Jesus was born into justice, or born to justice. And they're saying the head of days, the second witness, will not depart from justice, or justice will not depart from him, and he will not depart from thee. And he said to me, he calls peace unto thee in the name of the world which is to come. And for thence peace proceeds since the creation of the world, and thus it will be to eternity, to the eternity, and from eternity to eternity. Okay? And all who continue to walk on thy path, whose justice does not leave their dwellings places, will be with thee, separated the eternity from eternity to eternity. And so long will life the Son of Man, Jesus, and peace will be to the just, and his right path to the just. And the name of the Lord of Spirits, and the Lord of Spirits is God. That's the Lord of Spirits, and the book of Enoch is God. Okay, we'll say our spirit to all eternity. So this is the thing that we really want to look at. Okay, this gives us timelines. And it says, once Jesus, the first witness, and the head of days, the second witness, comes out, and they basically call for peace, and they rally the whole world behind to do this, and they do this with the power of the plagues. Don't say it here, but they do the power of the plagues. They kill a whole lot of people. Okay, they basically go to everybody and say, "Listen, man, we cannot do the way things have been done. You have to bend the knee to God and believe in a higher power than yourself, or we cannot. We can't do this. We can't have you, running around tempting everybody to be awful people and antagonizing and provoking them. It's just not going to work." So they use the power of the plagues to kill off entire swaths and regions of people that will not comply. But when he does that, he kills off a lot of innocent people as well with the plagues, the power of the plagues, okay? And this is where we really get our hint as to what's going on at the soul farm, all right? So just know, according to Enoch, he calls for peace, and the end of the throne, come to the peace proceeds to the creation of the world, and thus it will be to eternity and from eternity to eternity. So Enoch is clear. He's saying that once the first witness, Jesus, and the second witness, the head of days, get involved and do their thing, and everything becomes good, then from there on, there will be eternity. Okay? But we know this isn't exactly true because we know there is a final rebellion. So unless this occurred after the final rebellion, which, keep in mind, that's a 1,000-year period from when the head of days first comes to be. And, the head of days is just a regular man. So you could argue maybe he's being reincarnated in upgraded bodies, but why wouldn't you just make him an angel at that point anyways if he's your man boy? So even this doesn't add up entirely, okay? There are bits that are missing from this story that perhaps are not given to Enoch, okay? But according to him and what he saw when he was allowed to go to heaven and given all these visions, and this is like 129 pages, okay? This is a huge 129 pages, the book of Enoch, all right? Now, a lot of it's commentary, but it's a lot. Enoch saw a lot when he was in heaven, and he wrote down all of it, okay? So it's pretty wild. Enoch could be considered one of the most enlightened prophets in all of history, okay? I mean, probably the only one that had more knowledge on him was Jesus. I mean, even Muhammad was clueless compared to Enoch, what Enoch was given knowledge-wise. It's radical. And then Enoch's 5,000 years ago. So that's impressive, okay? That's impressive. That one of the biggest sources of information to find out what's going on about the future is the oldest document that God gave us. Makes you wonder. Excuse me. Trained Bram Michigan getting blown up in the war. So, all right. So according to Enoch, it's going to last forever, all right? And we do have one more thing that we can look into, okay? I'm looking for... Man, he doesn't even say it. There it is. Here it is. Okay. Okay. Chapter 55, okay? And after that, the head of days repented and said, "In vain I have destroyed all who dwell on the earth." And he swore by his great name, "Henceforth I will not do thus to all those who dwell on the earth. And I will place a sign in the heavens, and it will be a token of fidelity between me and them to eternity. And as long as the heaven is above the earth. And then it will be according to my command, and when I desire to overpower them by the hands of the angel of the day of trouble and suffering. Before this, my anger and my punishment will remain over them. Okay? So this is the head of days, okay? He's sorry. He's killed a lot of people with the power of the plagues, okay? And this was probably his duty and not Jesus, okay? It's a good cop, bad cop thing. Jesus is the good cop. The head of days, the second witness, is the bad cop, okay? Jesus is the cop who's like, come on, everything's going to be all right. Just keep trying. Come on, guys, let's do it. Just lift your spirits. And the second witness, the head of days is coming like, you are weak and pathetic. Why won't you just obey and conform? What's your problem? It's a good cop, bad cop kind of relationship. And those are the best ways to do interrogations because it's the oldest trick in the book because it works. It works. That's what humans need is a good cop, bad cop. They need someone to whip them straight while someone's telling them it's okay and they're on their team and helping them out, The duality of it all, the yin yang, baby, the yin yang. It's all about the yin yang. Is it the yin yang? There we go. Yin yang. I can't even do it. I'm not familiar. All right? So just know, according to here, the head of day says, I killed a whole lot of people. And I don't think I got the results to make it worthwhile. And I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to, use the power of the plagues to kill off entire swaths and regions of humanity because they don't agree or whatever, And so God, steps in and says, okay, all right, I can work with this. Ye mighty kings will dwell on the earth, and ye shall see about my chosen one. Now he's saying the chosen one could refer to Jesus as probably the chosen one, but it could also technically refer to the other witness, the other chosen guy, the second witness, the head of days. Hard to say which one it is. As he sits on the throne of glory and judges Azazel and all of his associates and all his hosts in the name of the Lord of spirits. All right? So, yeah. Basically, what you need to know here is that the second witness killed a lot of people, and he felt bad about it, and he swore he would never do that again. And so God said, I will make a sign in the heavens. Kind of like when God killed off the entire planet with the flood, okay? Because he didn't like humanity. He's like, screw you, all gotta die. And so he killed everybody off but Noah, okay? Noah and his family. And afterwards, God repented. God felt bad that he had killed so much life, and he wished he could have found another way to not do that. And so he promised to never again destroy the earth and people in general with water. And to do that, or part of that covenant that he made, he said, and I will give you, whenever rain pours down, I will give you rainbows. A covenant, a sign of my covenant between myself and humanity, that I will not destroy you with water again. So if you ever look up and it's raining really bad and you're thinking, oh, is it ever going to stop raining? If you see a rainbow, you know you're good. It's not going to keep raining forever. If there's no rainbows, maybe the covenant has been disavowed. Right? And so God is saying, okay, because my second witness, my chosen, my head of days, has repented and feels, bad about killing all these people with the plagues, I am going to do another covenant that says this time I will not destroy not only humanity again with water, but with anything. Water, fire, disease, whatever. Never again will I destroy swaths of the earth or kill off a bunch of people to basically, to prune the timeline. And I guess what basically God is saying is, I don't need to do that anymore. from this point forward once we get to here. Okay, we're on the timeline. Everything is looking good. Okay? So, that is an important thing to realize. I don't think that the... Let's go back here. I don't think that the Hindu soul farm theory is the right one. I believe it's more with the Abrahamic religions, where we only do this one cycle and that's it. And it goes on for as long as God can make it go on. And that could be 1,000,000 years, could be another 10,000 years, could be 10 million years. We don't know. God probably has an ideal, but we don't know, okay, how this is all going to end ultimately. But according to the Abrahamic, God is not going to ever again destroy those that dwell on the earth, with plagues or water or fire or anything. He's never going to do the mass punishment again after the head of days does it this final time to really whip the survivors of Putin's nukes into shape. And another thing to consider is when the final rebellion takes place and we know that God kills a whole bunch of people, notice, according to the way it's written, he's only killing off the people that are attacking him in space at the breadth of the earth, at the width of the earth. So they're in space, one width of the earth, kind of probably in between the earth and the moon somewhere. Who knows? They're in space, but they're not too deep into space. It's not deep space, but they're in space. They're in orbit of the earth. Okay? And he only killed off the people that were attacking him, not people on the earth as well. So it looks like he did hold true to his promise in that situation. If you think about it, it is exactly, he didn't break his promise or his covenant at all to not do mass punishment on the earth. He just destroyed people in space that were attacking him. And there would just happen to be millions of them on these ships for whatever reason, why they were doing it, why they thought they could, beat God, why they thought they needed to even try in the first place. I don't understand. Clearly, there's lies that are going to be brought about because this system that the second witness and Jesus, the first witness, create after the Great Tribulation is complete very, very soon now, for whatever reason, is not perfect. It does atrophy and fall apart over the course of 1,000 years before we have one final lesson to be taught. All right? Now, this soul farm theory technically kind of originated, technically from India, right? But where it first really started getting interesting, getting attention, I guess from all different people, was when Joe Rogan talked about it after talking about it on with Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was the guy that worked at Area 51, not very long, but long enough to know what was going on. And he said that this is one of the things that they taught. I'll let you see it. I'll see if I can't.
Theory is one that Lazar talked about. He said something that they talked to him about when he was working on these back engineered crafts is that what they use us as is vessels. That we are souls. We hold souls.
Now remember, the vessels
is essentially
the vessels are like Jesus calling us cups. Okay? Jesus said we are just cups that hold the soul, the wine. That's it.
Farm. And this is how they develop souls through us. What our soul is. If you had to imagine what our soul is.
And just so you know, if you ever want to know what an angel looks like, that's it right there. They're the little gray aliens. Those are the angels. When you see the gray aliens, those are the avatars that God gave those souls to become angels. Which is why they don't have any sexual organs or anything, but they're very powered up. They fly around the sky and space, and they can do anything. They can control people. They can do whatever. They're very, very powerful beings. Very powerful beings. Don't look at them and think they're frail and small. That they're that they're weak. They're not. They are, I don't want to say infinitely, but they are 1,000 times more powerful than you think you are. Pretty powerful.
Us. And that what our soul is, I mean, if you had to imagine, what our soul is some force, something that they farm here with us. When we die, it transcends and becomes whatever they are.
Well, it's not that it transcends. It's like the Bible says. If you have a soul that God likes and wants to keep around, and that is do good things and is nice and kind, then He will give you a silver coin for a day's work at the vineyards and allow you access to heaven. Okay, He will give you a new avatar, a new body, which is like the little gray aliens, which granted no sexual organs, but extremely powerful. Okay, so it's not that you transcend. It's not a natural process that you naturally become like they do. No, you are a demigod. Okay, that's what you are. You will never be a god, ever be a god. Never be a god. Never you. Never demigod. You always demigod. Okay. And so, being a demigod, when you die, God will reward you being in His legions of angels and give you an avatar and all this stuff. But it's not, you don't naturally get it just for existing as a natural process of evolution of your life cycle. It's all God's love and gifts that He bestows upon you because He feels you are worthy of it.
Space they exist in. Some of these people think is that these things have always been here and they are a part of our history, and that this idea that they're coming here on these metal crafts from other planets, not necessarily.
Like I said, I don't know how long God has been here at this planet. I know that all the religious heretics say that God created the earth, but that could have just been said because humans would not follow the voice of God if they didn't feel He was so powerful that He could create planets. That is entirely a thing that humans do. So I personally at this time don't believe God created the planet. I do believe that God created all of our livestock genetically. He taught us agriculture, all the plants that we farm, like tomatoes, corn. It's all a gift from Him. He created them for us to eat and to farm and to do whatever. He created a lot. Okay, He did a lot. And I believe He probably came to our planet first maybe up to 1 million years ago. I don't believe He created our planet, but I'm not perfect. I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. And if God, whenever I die and see God, whatever, He's like, oh, and by the way, I did create that. I'm like, I gotcha. Now I know. But at this point in time, I have yet to see compelling evidence to believe that that is the case. I believe it's more He came as a traveler, an explorer of the stars to our planet about 1 million years ago and set our timeline in motion here that we're on. Okay. He also talks about it one more time.
What was it? The weirdest shit was they said they had a very thick file that was about religion, and basically
this is Area 51. He's talking about Bob Lazar was at Area 51. He's saying they have called the Government Bible, and that is the government's version of all of the events that are going to happen. They're biblically related according to the aliens that they have been able to question from down flying saucers that they have recovered over the years. There's been a few of them. And so they've been able to ask them questions and they got answers, but not all the answers they wanted. Just the answers that I guess they could get.
What it boiled down to is, at least what this file was saying, was that they view us as containers.
Yes.
And
so like I say, Jesus said, when He was going to praying to God his final hours before being crucified, He was praying to God, and He said, the angels were coming to Him and comforting Him, and He said, God, this vessel, this cup is ready to be discarded, and I am ready for you to take my wine. So He's basically saying, okay, I'm ready to die, and this body is nothing, and my soul to go wherever you pit it, God. Okay, so this is all Christianity, man. This is not just crazy alien stuff, bro. This is your religion, no matter what religion you're into. You just haven't pieced the pieces together yet. for whatever reason, because there's a lot of bullshit out there and a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about that sure do love to talk and have a lot of people to talk
He
to.
wasn't specifying containers of what, like containers of souls, like I don't know, but that's the terminology they used. They view us as containers. Can you imagine if like a soul is an energy that you have to farm or that you have to extract, just like how we extract oil from the earth, that souls are things you extract, and so you need to.
And so now here's where, Joe Rogan is going to the dark, kind of the Hindu side of the soul farm theory, where it's like, what if we're just here for no other reason than just to provide souls to God? And he doesn't really care how he gets those souls. He's not that invested. He just wants good souls for his army. That is a theory. Like I say, that's the Hindu version of the soul farm. But as we looked into the Book of Enoch and what Jesus said, the Abrahamic version of the soul farm is not quite so dark and callous. It's more, loving that we only do this once and that God is making this because he wants us to be a race that's with him always, not just in cyclic forms.
Grow a bunch of them, so you need people just fuck up a storm and clutter up a planet, and really what you're doing is just farming souls.
Yeah, dude, that's so
Can you imagine?
crazy.
You think that you're an OnlyFans model, and you're a DJ at a strip club, and you're a football player, and you're a top scientist, and you're this and you're that, but really on the highest level, you're just in a farm.
Yep.
You're in a farm, and there's a super intelligent entity that's above and beyond anything you could ever comprehend.
And that's God. That's God and his angels, all right? We can't even comprehend what they're up to. God even says in the Bible, said, listen, man, don't compare yourself to me. I think about things on a way higher level than you do, and I have way more responsibility to adhere to. We're not the same, okay? God says that in the Bible, all right? So...
And the only thing it doesn't have is souls. So it needs souls, because souls are a real element. It's just like you need cobalt to make a battery.
Yeah, that's the belief.
You actually need a soul.
We're the battery that runs the simulation. It's so deep, dude.
Well, why is that weirder than black holes?
Yeah. So, all right. I think we have, I think we've learned a lot today. Like I said, there's two versions or variants of the soul farm. One is kind of callous, one is not. But either which way, know this. God wants us to be good because he wants good souls to be with him. Either soul farm theory, that's a fact. It's just the devil's in the minutiae and the details as to how that's done that gives you insight into God. Personally, I believe God is a benevolent and loving being, and that he would never put us through distress or harm us if it wasn't ultimately for the betterment of our species as a whole, or even us individually and personally. God can work on those levels. He can work on different levels at once. He's very efficient. He's very beyond us mentally, capacity wise. So that's the soul farm theory, boys. We're in a vineyard, we're in a farm, and your soul is the product, and that's what's important. And just know this: God does not care about your body at all. Your life is a blah blah blah. I'm a plumber. Nobody cares. God doesn't care. He cares about your soul. He cares about good beings, because he can take a good being and give them in the body of an angel and have them all these magical powers and everything, and he knows if you're a good person, you're going to do good things with that power. But it doesn't matter how great an amazing person you are. If you're an asshole at the end of the day and you just like to hurt people for fun, then why would God want to power you up with an angel body? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't think that's God's MO. So that right there to me kind of shows you that God has our best interest, at hand. But humans are a problem. We're stubborn, and people don't want to bend the knee to things that they don't understand, or they don't realize how it benefits them. Ultimately, people are selfish. They don't want to bend the knee unless it benefits them somehow. Yay, humanity! Yay! All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it there. Until then, have a good day, and I'll catch you next time. Adios, muchachos. Blah.
Like, subscribe, submit.